Hello, everybody. I am MrGamingGuitarist. Holy shit, this episode of Supergirl was fucking great. I mean, I think I've been saying that a lot recently, but it just shows continually how much I get impressed, because it's like each episode of this show every new episode, I just end up smiling and laughing and enjoying myself more and more and more and more and more with each episode. Like the enjoyment factor just keeps increasing, and it's just it just goes to show that, you know, brand new shows need time to develop and to flourish into becoming amazing. And based on just this episode that I watched tonight, it's just yet another testament to how much better Supergirl as a show is becoming. And you know, I mean, for me, The Flash is still my #1 favorite CW DC show, and Supergirl is currently in the #2 spot with, well, actually, I don't know. I would say Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow at a tie, with Arrow being in last place and not knowing if it will ever be able to get out of that spot. But just this episode, I can't even remember the last time I had this much fun for 60 minutes watching a TV show. It's just... Okay, so let's get into this episode, and of course, this is my review for Season 2, Episode 5 of Supergirl, and this episode is called Crossfire. And, okay, let's start off with the things that I liked and the things that I didn't like. Or, well, if it was a thing I didn't like, maybe it was more of a nitpick. But anyway, okay, this by far was Mon-El's best episode. Anytime, just that whole opening montage with him, like, eating the pancakes and like just holding that entire stack. I thought that was great. And it was funny how James's assistant, I keep forgetting what her name is, like her first name, like I know she's like Miss Teschmacher, but I thought that was just so funny how just all the moments of him in the office, like when he was talking on his speakerphone, and he just says, "Hi, welcome to Catco," without even picking the damn phone up. And then, of course, later on, eventually, when he ends up fucking Miss Teschmacher in the closet, and it's like Kara's going through deja vu, because that's exactly what she went through in season. She's going through that stuff again in Season 1, back when God, what the hell was her name? When Kara and Banshee, when Win and Banshee, whatever Banshee's name, Shaban, when Win and Shaban are fucking, and I don't think that's the exact same room, because of course they film in Vancouver, not in LA like they did in Season 1, but still, it was just goddamn. The only thing I can describe in this episode was fun. I mean, there's like the good, serious character moments that we've come to love and enjoy in these CW DC shows, but for me, I don't. But it's just, especially seeing the part when, you know, first when you see, what happened now? When the action scenes, those guns that they had, like, I don't even remember what the gang leader's name was. I believe his name was Meyer or something like that. So they were just, I guess, mercenaries that wanted to fight, that wanted to just get rid of aliens, you know, like you would think, and the thing is, I would say that they were some of the weaker parts of the episodes. Like the action scenes themselves that they were doing were good, but I didn't necessarily feel like the villains for this episode really had that much motivation. But I'm glad that we did get to see way more of the Cadmus leader, and oh boy, we're gonna get into that shit later on. But I really enjoyed that stuff. The action scenes, especially when they use that one gun to like launch that fucking police car 50 meters in the air, and Carr just had to go out there and save them. And especially how, okay, so I'm starting to ramble, like I'm starting to forget things. Let me look at my notes. Okay. So another thing I wanted to mention. I really, here's the thing. So it finally happened where all this tension going on between Alex and Maggie is finally being addressed. And for me, lots of people, well, I never got any comments about this, but I can tell if I am going to get comments, lots of people are going to be asking me, Mr. Gaming Guitarist, why do you approve of Alex and Maggie's being in a relationship, and yet you never approved of Kara and James being together, or you never approved of, oh, God forbid, fuck me, you never approved of Oliver and Felicity being together. Let me, well, I already mentioned this before, but in my last week's Arrow episode review, but for those of you that haven't seen that, I don't approve, I never approved of Oliver and Felicity being together because it just felt very forced and unnatural. Whereas this tension just brewing that you can just feel whenever the two of them are on the screen together, it's like, when the fuck are they just gonna get it over with already? Because I mean, come on, I don't know, it's like the tension, the chemistry between Alex and Maggie just feels natural, and they already have really good chemistry to begin with. It just feels right to me, and it, like I said, it feels natural and not forced at all, so I approve of it. And it finally gives Alex, well, I mean, double meaning here, but it finally gives Alex something to do, because for a while it feels like she hasn't really been doing much. I mean, yeah, in season 1 she did that thing where she was hiding, after Astra got killed, they talked about the two, like her and John fighting, or her and John hiding away, and she does help a lot, but I don't feel like we aren't, because what's the actress's name? I keep forgetting. Kyler Lee. She does a great job. I think she does great as Alex, but it's sort of similar to Caitlin. Like, I think Danielle Panabaker is great. She does a great job on that show on The Flash, being Caitlin Snow, but it's like she doesn't really get to do much. She's just there in the science lab doing the experiment stuff, and and yet I was so happy because she finally got development. And so Alex getting into a relationship with Maggie, I approve of this a lot, because we can get some scenes developing Alex as a character. And I really enjoyed that Thanksgiving episode, but from season 1, where she talked with the problems between her and her mom, and now, this is a good, I would say it's a good character development. So anyways, other than, but it's funny because it's also really funny too, because at the ending scene at that bar, when all Alex tells Maggie is, I'm the only, what did she say? She said there might be some truth to what you said, and then she just fucking walks away. Anyways, yeah, you can tell there the thirst is real. Anyways, so the other thing, okay, so the thing I didn't like, I read this in the news that they were going to make James be a vigilante. And I never really approved of that because when I first heard it, because it's like, why can't James just be James? You know, he's doing a good job being the editor-in-chief. You know, they could, and, you know, I'm glad that we're spending more time with James. I think he got the most screen time he's ever had this season, but, in this one episode, but I don't know if this is the right direction to take him, because it's like, the only way to make him be like a strong character is to make him be a vigilante? I mean, I don't really know how to feel. I feel conflicted, because on the one hand, yeah, he says this is him honoring his father, and yet he says this is the way he can make a difference, but I mean, he is making a difference as the editor-in-chief, and yet he feels like he isn't. I mean, the whole reason why he moved to National City is so that he can so he can continue making a name for himself. And I mean, when Kat made him her replacement, I mean, that must have been a very big deal. So it's like, that wasn't enough for James? I don't know. It's like, it's just kind of hard to buy, you know, sort of similar to how Laurel was becoming the Black Canary. I couldn't buy it. Just like how I can't buy James being a vigilante. But anyways, I don't know. I just hope that I don't know. It's like we're in a shaky position here with James's character arc for the season, because the show seems to be going fully on board with him being a vigilante, because Wynn is now trying to make a costume for him and all this stuff, and yet I mean, I hope it's done well, but for now, as of now, all I can say is I'm left feeling conflicted about James Olsen being a vigilante. So anyways, that is pretty much what I have to say for this episode of Supergirl. Oh, fuck me. How can I forget that? Okay, so was I the only one that was shocked as all hell when I don't know what the hell her name is, but, you know, the Cadmus leader. I don't think she is the leader, but, you know, like the main woman there representing Cadmus. When Lena has, oh, it's okay, she just calls her mom. Like, what? Holy shit, I was not expecting that at all. And it's interesting, too, because, you know, you could never trust a Luthor, and yet, you know, and yet this whole time I thought that Lena was good, and I bought her being good. And yet, is she all doing this as a front? Is she working with Cadmus because her mom is the Cadmus leader? Were they working together this entire time? Or does Lena actually not know anything about her? And this is her first time seeing her mom in quite some time, because, you know, because Lena's adopted, she grew up with the Luthors, and Lex treating Lex like her brother and all this stuff. So anyways, I don't know what the hell's going on yet. But anyway, and one other tiny nitpick. It sounded like the actress playing Lena. It sounded like, in a few scenes, like that scene when she was at Kara's apartment, it sounded like she was like her American accent was going away a bit, and because I guess she's Australian, but it's just really jarring when I hear her speak, and then a few sentences she sounds Australian, and then the rest of the paragraph she's speaking, she sounds American. It's just, I don't know, it's just a little bit weird. You know, it's just a tiny nitpick, but it can be a bit jarring. But anyway, overall, I fucking enjoyed the hell out of this episode. For me, I guess it just goes to show, like, it's sort of like with the last episode of The Flash. You know, I didn't think the villain was all that great, but yet everything else with the character development was fucking great, and I loved it. So, same thing here. Villain wasn't so good, and yet, or the villains, I should say, weren't so good, and yet I loved the character developments going on throughout this episode. So, and that's why I give this episode of Supergirl a 9.5 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching this episode, and I can't wait for next week, where this time, it's funny too, because last week we got to see the Flash fight a monster, and I guess spoilers for the Flash, but that monster wasn't real. So we finally get to see a monster fight actually happen next week. So if Barry doesn't fight a monster, I guess we'll get to see Kara fight a monster. Anyways, thanks so much for watching this review of tonight's episode of Supergirl, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.